What if a few cheap machines in your garage could make money every month? In this video, I'm showing 66 machines that work in a garage, a spare room, or a small workshop. Some of these machines are cheap, compact, and overlooked, but they generate steady income month after month. I'll show what they produce, how much space they need, and why most people miss these opportunities while others quietly profit. Let's start. When people want privacy but don't want to build massive concrete walls, they look for an attractive, lightweight, and natural-looking solution. Green fences with artificial grass. How does this machine work? Special wire, already covered with artificial grass fibers, is fed into the system. The mechanism then weaves the fibers together, creating a strong yet flexible mesh. Metal profile manufacturing for frame construction is done using an automatic roll-forming machine. It takes thin sheet steel, passes it through a system of rollers, and shapes it into the required profile while simultaneously cutting parts to the desired length. The operator sets the parameters, loads the steel coil, and the machine does all the work. Everyone knows how tricky it is to assemble something small and delicate like laptop hinges, suitcase locks, or scissors. Hit it with a hammer and you'll ruin the part. This machine solves that problem. Instead of impact, it uses controlled rotation and pressure to create a clean rivet, and that opens up two ways to profit. First, offer contract assembly. You've got equipment most small producers can only dream of. Or second, launch your own product by combining inexpensive components with clean, reliable fasteners. This machine is basically a jewelry chain factory, only scaled down to fit on a workbench. The first module, the mechanical core of the system, automatically twists wire into links, one after another. Just set the parameters, and the machine begins weaving the chain. Then comes the second module, a high-tech laser system that finishes the chain to a market-ready state. The key? No overheating. That's critical when working with gold, silver, or other soft alloys. Together, these modules open the door to semi-automated jewelry production. Some packaging instantly grabs attention. Snap-pack is one of those. A strip with several small compartments that break cleanly along the line. No scissors, no mess, the portion is ready immediately. For business, the strength is clear. Snap-packs let you package convenience and charge more. Mini portions feel premium. A 20-section snap-pack sells higher than the same volume in a jar. And it makes sense. People pay for the ability to take it with them without thinking about spoons, lids, or bottles. How do you start making money from wood without a workshop or a crew? Sure, you could process boards by hand for weeks, or you could get a machine like this and launch a mini production line that does everything for you. With this machine, you can turn a raw board into a finished product, a baseboard, furniture part, or door component. It planes all four sides, shapes the profile, sands, and all of it automatically. In essence, it's a standard planer, but with the ability to finish the wood all the way to the final product. The idea is simple. Wood is valuable and in demand, but only a few can offer high-quality processing. Fresh flowers don't last long. Artificial ones can last for years. But when people hear artificial flowers, they often imagine something outdated, faded roses in office lobbies or cheap supermarket bouquets. But things have changed. Today, the demand is shifted toward decor, visual merchandising, window displays, and events. The flower itself is made through molding. All you need is plastic, a mold, and pressure. Heated plastic is injected into the mold, where each petal, stem, and leaf is a separate piece. Once cooled, they're removed and assembled. The molds can vary, from simple daisies to complex succulents. Clients usually don't buy them one by one, but in collections. You can use standard shapes or develop your own line. Here's a strange one at first glance, just a sticky strip, but it's actually an insect trap, and it sells surprisingly well. Unlike sprays, there are no chemicals. The machine applies adhesive to a paper or plastic base, then the material is cut or rolled. This product is in steady demand. Farmers, food producers, cafes, warehouses all use it. It's not seasonal, it's consistent, and that makes it good business. The most expensive tile isn't the biggest, it's the smallest. Mosaic tiles cost more because they're cut, aligned, and ready to install. This machine cuts standard ceramic tiles into strips for mosaics, borders, or decorative inlays. One pass turns a $10 per square foot tile into a $30 mosaic. Same material, just processed. Not everyone has given up on rugs. Some replace them with tile or laminate, but most homes still have old runners. The problem is maintenance. It's hard to wash a rug on your own. That's why automated cleaning has become a business in itself. The machine fits into a regular warehouse. No need for renovations or complex utilities. Just water, drainage, and electricity. There's one zone for loading and another for drying. The rug enters at one end and, as it passes through the rollers, gets wetted, soaped, scrubbed, rinsed, and partially wrung. Add delivery, and you can easily increase your order value. The simpler the process, the more reliable the business. Take floss picks, for example. This machine makes them in one cycle. Plastic base, stretch floss, secured and trimmed. No long supply chains, no juggling vendors. You control it all. Sell under your own brand, work with retailers, or fulfill custom orders. A season's worth of firewood can be prepared in one visit, no hauling or long prep work. A mobile log splitter on a trailer comes right to the logs and turns them into firewood of the desired length. Clients pay $150, $300 per job. Cracks in asphalt or concrete expand quickly, making future repairs more expensive. Mobile joint sealing solves the problem immediately. The surface is cleaned, filled with sealant or hot mastic, and finished with a neat seam. Shopping center and parking lot owners order this to extend surface life and avoid full resurfacing. Most people who hear about custom rings imagine the same process. You take a pre-made blank, put it under a laser, and get a dark engraving on top. It's the most common method, fast, but basically just a drawing on the surface. But there's equipment that works completely differently. It doesn't burn the metal, it physically cuts symbols and letters into the body of the ring. And in terms of feel, it's much closer to real jewelry work than to typical customization. The difference in approach is obvious even on Etsy. Laser engraved rings cost around $20–$30, while carved rings sit in a completely different segment. $100, $150, sometimes $200 per piece. Printing is easy. Turning pages into a real product is the trick. Glue goes along the spine, the cover folds around, and in seconds, you've got a finished notebook. That's hot glue binding, the same method used in publishing, but scaled down. You don't need 5,000 copies. You can make 10 or 100, each with its own design or logo. What can you sell? Seasonal planners, branded notebooks, workbooks for online courses, or custom journals for Etsy. Production cost, $2–3. Retail starts around $15. And polished, high-end ones go for $30 or more. There are many ways to work with metal. Some cut it for sharp angles, others turn blanks into complex parts. And then there are those who spin it, literally. Imagine a plain round sheet of aluminum, flat and thin like a pancake. You mount it on this machine, a CNC metal spinning lathe, and in a few minutes, you get a dome, or a cap, or a deep, perfectly symmetrical bowl that looks like it was stamped. But this isn't stamping. It's all done by spinning and pressing with a roller, without welding or noise. What can you make? Light fixtures, aluminum reflectors, lampshades, domes. The market is huge, especially if you add powder coating. Dog owners are willing to spend hundreds of dollars a year on food and treats for their pets. But here's what's important. Not all treats are equally profitable. Selling regular dry food, which people buy in bulk once a month, is one thing. Selling chew treats, which are considered a premium product, is a completely different business. Suppose we produce 1 kilogram of regular dry food. Allocating the costs of ingredients, production costs, and packaging comes out to a total of $2, when with treats, $3.3. But the main difference is that the treats are sold not by weight, but in small packages of several pieces. When recalculated by weight, the price ranges from $8 to $12. Laying rebar and tying it on site takes forever. Each square meter requires dozens of ties, all done manually. At large volumes, this isn't profitable. That's why pre-made rebar mesh is used. It arrives in sheets, ready to lay down and pour. Making this mesh by hand isn't realistic either. Each rod must be measured, aligned, and welded at every intersection. That's dozens of welds per sheet. A machine does this much more efficiently, feeding rod after rod, aligning them, and welding the crossings. Metal can be bought in coils or pre-cut and sold as finished mesh. A bath pouf isn't a complicated product. It's lightweight, inexpensive, and looks like a mesh flower. This mesh isn't cut from fabric or woven. It's made from scratch by stretching plastic into a thin, elastic, grippy webbing. It starts with plastic pellets, usually polyethylene or nylon. The output is wide, semi-transparent mesh and rolls, ready for assembly. It's scrunched up, stitched, and becomes that familiar sponge. By producing the mesh, you're moving up the value chain. Instead of competing with finished poufs on store shelves, you supply the material, or assemble and sell them yourself. Costume jewelry fades quickly, but if you coat it with gold, silver, or rhodium, it looks more expensive and premium. You can work with customers' old jewelry or sell pre-plated items. In one of our previous videos, we showed a manual duplicator, where the operator follows a reference shape by hand with a cutting tool. But when the shape gets complex, that approach doesn't cut it. This machine doesn't guess the shape, it records it. First, a probe comes into play, a fine, touch-sensitive stylus that traces every contour of the original. It effectively feels the entire object and converts it into a digital model. Then the cutting module takes over, carving a precise copy into a new block of material. It's not just an eyeballed copy. The machine tracks dozens or hundreds of reference points to preserve curves, angles, slopes, and even subtle imperfections. Each finished piece can sell for 5 to 10 times its production cost. This printer doesn't print parts, it prints molds out of sand for casting metal. You upload a 3D model and get a sand mold ready for pouring. Internal channels, cavities, contours, all printed. If you print in-house, one mold might cost $30 to $40. Contract printing, $150 to $250 is standard. You skip tooling and setup, just pay for the mold and pour. No machinists, no manual forming. This isn't a typical industrial robot. It's a cobot, a collaborative robot designed to work with people. No cages, no complex setup. Its built-in camera sees the part and adjusts movement in real time. New task? Just guide it by hand or set a new point. It's not locked into one line. It adapts to whatever's needed. That flexibility is the real game changer. Usually, each material needs its own equipment. One for metal, another for stone, another for glass. That limits orders and clients. This machine solves that problem. It lets you work on various tasks and take on orders you'd normally have to decline. Water jet cutting doesn't require thermal treatment, doesn't deform the workpiece, and produces clean cuts. That matters when working with expensive or delicate materials. Beyond custom jobs, you can also create your own products and sell them on Etsy or similar platforms. And if you don't have your own designs, you can always find suitable models online. Grease and soot in kitchen exhaust systems aren't just smelly, they're a serious fire hazard. Regulations require regular cleaning, or there's a risk of fines or closure. Instead of manual scrubbing, you send in a robot with a camera and brushes, controlled remotely. One job typically pays $300 to $800, and restaurants are ideal for long-term contracts. The US gift set market is huge. Cosmetics, candles, accessories, food. People love ready-made turnkey solutions. No need to assemble a present yourself. And at the center of it all is the box. It defines the form, the size, and even the perceived value. Box forming machines let you make them quickly and in the right volume. This opens two business paths. First, services for other producers. Small cosmetics or food brands are always looking for small batch packaging. Offering custom boxes can be its own business. The second path, your own product. Bath bombs are a good example. They're easy to produce, cheap in materials, and simple in formula. And when they're packed in boxes of 3 to 6, it's a format ready to go on Amazon or Etsy. A cutting board is not just a kitchen tool, it's a stylish accessory. especially if it's made from solid wood with engraving or a unique shape. You can create personalized boards with names, family crests, or restaurant logos. You'll need wood blanks, a sanding machine, a router, and finishing oil. The total cost is around $200, while a single board can sell for $50 to $100. When you grab a thick, white towel in a hotel, chances are it came off a machine like this. It's not a sewing machine, it's an industrial weaver built to do one thing: make textiles all day, every day. Load the yarn, set the specs, and it weaves terry fabric with the exact width and thickness you need. Come back later, and there's a fresh stack of towels waiting. If you're thinking about launching a small production run with a simple but essential product, this machine is exactly the kind of workhorse you want. Foil stamping no longer needs brass dies or letter blocks. This digital machine connects to your computer and works like a printer, but instead of ink, it transfers foil. Any text, logo, even patterns. One pass and it's done. Fonts, languages, vector designs, whatever you can print, the machine can apply to paper, leather, or film. It's a perfect tool for those who make packaging, business cards, certificates, book covers, or gift stationery. Some clay doesn't need firing or a kiln. Just shape it. It hardens in air. That's air-dry clay. It's used in craft kits, kids' toys, and handmade goods. This production line handles it all, mixing the mass, adjusting consistency, portioning, and sealing it in airtight packs. You can shape it into balls, blocks, tubs, or full kits. It's cheap to make, and small packs sell for $1 to $3. Add a mold, color kit, or gift box, and the price easily doubles. Straps don't start as straps, they start as ribbon. The first time I stood beside a narrow fabric loom, it felt like watching a tiny road being built in real time. Cones of polyester or nylon feed a forest of guides, heddles lift and lower, and a row of needles beats a steady rhythm. Out front, a clean ribbon grows inch by inch. Plain weave for strength, herringbone for a softer hand, high-vis picks or reflective yarn when night gear is the goal. Patterns live in the yarn, not just printed on top. Importing webbing means big minimums and long waits. Weaving in-house means short runs in the exact color a bag maker needs this week. Ribbon in the morning becomes adjustable straps by afternoon, yarn to spool, spool to strap, boxes out the door. This machine prints custom phone cases with any design, photo, or meme you upload. You pick your model, send in your image, and just a few minutes later, you get a fully personalized case. You can even make a quick gift on the go. Simple idea, but genius. Personalization plus speed. How does 3D printing on fabric work? This process is different from standard t-shirt prints. Instead of a regular image, a special film or puff ink is used, which expands when heated, creating a raised 3D shape. And most importantly, this isn't done in a factory but with accessible equipment, a heat press. The process works like this. The design is prepared. The image is created with a 3D effect in mind. It is printed onto special film, using a heat transfer material. The image is applied to the fabric with a heat press. Under pressure and high temperature, the film adheres. Final processing. As it cools, the material expands, creating a raised 3D effect. Beekeepers face the same issue every season. Old honeycomb wax needs to be melted down, cleaned, and turned into fresh foundation sheets. That's where the business is. This machine produces wax foundation, thin sheets stamped with a hexagon pattern that bees use to build their combs. You take the wax, dark, used, full of residue, melt it, filter it, feed it into the machine, and out comes a clean, ready-to-use product. Honeycomb paper is usually made with simple hand tools. You'll often see them in workshops that create gift packaging or craft cushioning for glass. But if you're serious, you need another level. On an automated line, things look very different. A roll of paper enters on one side, and just seconds later, a formed multi-layer honeycomb structure comes out. Honeycomb paper is a material in growing demand. It's just as strong, several times lighter, and biodegradable. According to Allied Market Research, the global honeycomb paper market has already surpassed $6.5 billion, and by 2030, it could grow to $11 billion. This isn't just a coffee machine. It's a robotic barista that makes latte art. The robotic arm handles espresso, milk, and artwork. Customers pick a design on screen, patterns, logos, even photos. It's a traffic magnet. People come for the novelty, stay for the coffee, and pay more for both. It's part theater, part vending, and all business. An engraver is a mini drill that turns ordinary items into unique pieces. You can engrave cutting boards, personalized pins, and wooden clocks with family crests, messages, or custom designs. The equipment is affordable, and demand for customized gifts is huge. 3D wall panels aren't just decoration. They're a design element that adds texture and depth to interiors. The average cost per panel depends on the material and pattern, but usually ranges between $2 and $10, while retail prices can hit $20, $50, especially for custom or eco-friendly options. The texture is created by the mold inside the machine, waves, geometric patterns, bricks, abstract shapes. If the material allows, the panel can even be laminated or colored right away. Everyone knows screen printing for t-shirts, boxes, flyers. But what about scratch-off coatings? That's where this machine shines. It prints the kind of layer you rub off with a coin, like lottery tickets or promo codes. You control the thickness, area, and speed. One pass, and you've got a batch of cards ready for market. Retailers and promo agencies buy them by the thousands. When it comes to the medical business, many immediately think it's complicated, requires licenses, inspections, and a ton of paperwork. But what if I told you there are medical products that even small businesses can manufacture? One such product is medical bandages. The demand for bandages is enormous, and most importantly, they are constantly used and repurchased. This machine takes gauze threads, automatically knits them, rolls them into bandages, and seals the packaging. There are two ways to enter this market: working through wholesalers or selling directly. The first option involves contracts with pharmacy chains and medical institutions. The second involves selling through marketplaces or B2B clients. Balloons are a symbol of celebration, but while regular latex balloons deflate within hours, foil balloons hold their shape for several days or even weeks. This makes them more in demand and more profitable, especially in the party industry. The average wholesale price of these balloons is $1–2 per piece. In stores, the same balloon sells for $5, $7, or even up to $15. Look at the big companies that manufacture simple products like packaging, disposable tableware, and decorations. These businesses don't stand out, but they make millions of dollars. Balloons fall into the same category. No one notices them until they need a bunch of them for a wedding, graduation, or party. These thin, almost weightless sheets retain up to 90% of body heat, block wind and moisture, and protect people from hypothermia. But what's even more interesting is that producing them is a profitable business because demand for these blankets is constant, and competition in this niche is low. At first glance, it looks like just a piece of foil, but in reality, it is a multi-layered material created using specialized equipment. First, polyethylene terephthalate is used the same material found in durable plastic bottles. It is melted and extruded into a thin, flexible, and strong film. A vacuum aluminum coating is then applied, giving the film its characteristic shine and, most importantly, its heat-reflecting properties. The result is a perfect survival tool that takes up less space than a smartphone, but can genuinely save lives. Screen printing is a method that allows you to apply images to fabric, paper, plastic, metal, and more. A special mesh with paint is rolled over a stencil, leaving a clear, durable print. This technique can be used for t-shirts, hoodies, posters, tote bags, advertising banners, and even wood prints. Not everyone realizes that a guitar string isn't just a stretched wire. It has a core, a thin inner thread wrapped with a perfectly even winding. If that wrap isn't spot on, the sound gets muddy. That's where a double-wire winding machine comes in. It keeps the core under steady tension and lays the winding, copper, bronze, or coated, smoothly and precisely. These machines aren't about mass output. They're about precision and consistency, exactly what the music industry demands. Here's another direction where laser engraving fits perfectly, a compact machine that turns blanks into personalized tags in minutes. The best part is watching the process. A robotic arm grabs the piece, and the laser engraves the design right in front of you. All you have to do is pick a template and enter your text. The tech does the rest. Minimal effort, maximum personalization. Keys aren't sold online, and customers won't come to your house. But if you've got a high-foot traffic spot, this machine can be a solid earner. A small table at a mall, a section in a home goods store, or a pickup point corner. Somewhere people already pass by and might get a key copied. The machine is simple. Insert a blank, insert the original, start. A few minutes and done. Cost about 50 cents, selling price $3 to $7. Everyone knows the rubber chicken by its sound and its absurd look. It shows up in memes, TikToks, gets gifted to dogs, and thrown to friends as a stress toy. Simple shape, soft material, squeaker inside. This machine makes exactly those kinds of toys, not just chickens. Any shape that can be molded from soft plastisol. The best part is the volume. The production cost of one toy can be under 20 cents, and it can retail for $3 to $7. The mold is the key. You can have one custom made, or use standard options. Ball, duck, figurine. Corrosion on metal structures or worn parts doesn't always require replacement. Surfaces can be restored with liquid metal spraying. The device applies heated powdered alloy, which instantly bonds to the base and forms a strong protective layer. A dirty store facade or a fence covered in mold makes a bad impression and drives customers away. Instead of spending a day cleaning it themselves, people gladly pay for mobile pressure washing. Average ticket from $150 with regular maintenance contracts bringing steady income. Friday hits, catering orders pile up, and every kitchen asks the same thing. What packs hot food fast and survives the oven? That's where the foil tray press earns its keep. I think of it as metal origami with muscle. A wide roll of aluminum feeds the press, the tool kisses down, and a rigid tray pops out with a smooth curled rim that holds a lid. Trays nest tightly, so a pallet carries thousands without wasting warehouse space, and cartons go straight to bakeries. The product checks the right boxes: oven safe, freezer friendly, and familiar to every line cook. Scrap trim doesn't become a headache. Coils of offcut get baled and sold back into recycling. Production follows the city's eating habits: early for bakeries, midday for takeout, weekend peaks for parties. I like to look at equipment from a practical point of view. Take a machine that wraps any product in film. At first glance, it's nothing special. But once you think about how many situations it solves, it's clear why entire businesses are built on this. Film wrapping is protection. Candles don't gather dust in storage. Handmade soap doesn't stain other goods and keeps its scent. A box of snacks or spices keeps its shape during shipping. A board game or a book arrives to the customer without signs of tampering. This approach gives freedom. You don't need to commit to one niche forever. You can test different ideas, see what sells better, and adjust to demand. Here's another way to profit from custom orders with a mini stamp making machine. This device uses flash exposure tech and can produce personalized stamps in just a few minutes with logos, signatures, initials, or any text. It starts with design. You prepare the stamp layout on your computer and print it on transparent film. The film is placed on a special foam pad and inserted into the machine. It flashes a bright light, exposing only the needed parts and forming the imprint. Then you soak the pad with ink, insert it into a casing, and the stamp is ready to use. In new builds and renovations, wall plastering can take weeks with manual labor, applying, smoothing, and drying each layer. An automatic plastering machine pumps and spreads the mix evenly, leaving a perfectly smooth finish in a fraction of the time. Clients save on labor and time, while the service owner profits from every square foot. A broken clasp on a pricey bracelet or a crack in a gemstone ring often carries emotional value as well as monetary worth. Taking it to a workshop, waiting days, and worrying about safety is stressful. A portable laser welder repairs the metal with a pinpoint beam without heating the rest of the piece, safe for stones, enamel, and other delicate details. When I first came across this thing, I couldn't imagine a brewery could look like a coffee machine. The whole brewing process basically comes down to loading the ingredients, closing the lid, and pressing a button. Zymatic is the same idea of making your own drink, just without the chaos of containers, a compact machine working by program. You control the recipe literally down to the gram of malt and the second of boiling. Large bars, local projects, event organizers, micro brands, all of them sometimes need a small run of their own drink. Not 50 gallons, not a factory shipment, but a limited release tied to an idea. Bottling is a separate topic. You need standard-sized glass bottles, metal caps, and a simple manual capper, all inexpensive, sold as ready-made kits. In the construction industry, steel rebar is standard, but it has serious drawbacks. That's why fiberglass rebar is becoming a new trend in construction. It is 5 times lighter than steel, doesn't rust, doesn't conduct electricity, and withstands extreme loads. From a business perspective, fiberglass rebar reduces logistics costs since it can be delivered in coils. The trend of replacing steel in construction has already begun, and composite materials are taking up an increasing share of the market. The question is, who will be the first to see this business opportunity? When an old tree is cut down, the stump that's left can ruin the yard's appearance and block construction or landscaping work. Pulling it out by hand is impossible, and heavy machinery doesn't always fit on site. A stump grinder solves the problem. The spinning blade shreds it into mulch level with or below the ground without damaging nearby plants or surfaces. The day starts with a smell. If it's orange, the week will be busy. If it's cherry, schools are ordering. A candy line sits in the corner like a quiet coworker, steady, predictable, never late, and my job is deciding what joy looks like today. Bears, rings, worms, hearts for February, little trees in December. Kids grab red first, office folks ask for sour, gyms weirdly love lemon. Ingredients are kind, sugar, flavors, a gelling base, and the math is friendly. Pennies into pieces, pieces into bags, bags into invoices. Gelatin brings that classic bounce. Pectin keeps vegans happy and holds shape in warm weather. A light sugar coat makes them squeak. A glossy finish makes them shine under store lights. The real craft lives in small choices. Keep the room dry so candies don't sweat. Rotate flavors so hands don't stain red all day. Print labels that say what matters. No nuts, vegan, real juice. When you think mirror, you probably imagine bathrooms or car side mirrors, but they show up everywhere, in jewelry boxes, makeup kits, gift sets, and when someone needs 50, 200 tiny, irregularly shaped ones, finding a supplier is nearly impossible. That's where this compact glass cutter comes in. You connect it to a laptop, load a design file, set the cut, and go. It's ideal for small batch, on-demand mirror work. An item that looked plain in the morning can feel like part of a luxury designer interior by evening, thanks to flocking technology, which creates a velvet-like coating with rich color and soft texture. The craftsman prepares the surface and uses electrostatics to shoot fibers that instantly attach and hold. Edible printing allows you to put designs on coffee, cookies, cakes, and even fruit. Unlike automated food printers, this method is done manually using food-grade ink markers or special stamps. You can sell custom cupcakes with unique designs or offer on-demand food decorating services. What about something that seems complex at first, like cable? It consists of 2 elements, the conductor and the sheath. The conductor is copper wire, usually solid or stranded. It's not made on site, it's purchased pre-made on spools. That's cheaper and simpler. The market offers plenty of options with different gauges and lengths. The sheath, however, is the key part. It's made from modified PVC, not the standard type, with flame retardants that prevent it from sustaining combustion. This material comes in pellet form. The granules are fed into an extruder, which heats the mix to the right viscosity and evenly coats the conductor. Through water cooling and automatic thickness control, the final cable is produced, with the major advantage that you control its specifications. Plastic and paper straws are nothing new, but rice straws, which you can use and then eat, are something different. And this machine isn't limited to just straws. It can also make ice cream sticks, stirrers, and even edible utensils, depending on the mold and attachments. The base is rice or corn flour. First, the mix is kneaded to the right consistency. Then the extruder shapes the product, followed by drying and heat treatment. The most important part, the market is just emerging, so entering now puts you several steps ahead of the competition. You can stream music, download it, send it over Bluetooth. Yet, vinyl records are still selling. Why? Because people want that analog sound. This machine makes real records, fast, in-house. It takes preheated vinyl, presses it between two stampers that already contain the sound, and literally imprints the music into the surface. Then it cuts the edges, cools it down, and that's it. Slide it into a sleeve and ship. Sometimes a tree needs to be removed completely, roots and all. This is essential when its spot is needed for construction, a walkway, or utility lines. A tree puller attaches to a skid steer or tractor, gripping the trunk so firmly it pulls the roots out entirely. The client gets a clean site. The operator gets paid well for a job that can't be done without specialized equipment. Now let's look at knitted gloves, which are an alternative to disposable plastic gloves. The production process is fully automated. The raw material is loaded. It can be cotton, polyester, wool, or a blend. The machine forms the glove. The seamless knitting process makes the product durable and comfortable. It turns out that plastic gloves sell in enormous volumes, but with low margins, while knitted gloves sell at a higher price but in smaller quantities.